Okay, we're going to go through the a cross section of a wall construction. We're going to start at the bottom of our page and we're going to work up to the top. We're going to start with um, underground with the footings and the foundation underground. We're going to work our way all the way up to the peak of the roof. And I'm going to go quite quickly through this so I don't waste your time. And you can pause as needed to draw what you need to do. But yeah, so here we go. So we're going to start at the bottom of our page. This is underground, and we're going to create, that's going to be hard to see. Let me try zooming in here. So we're creating underground what is called the footing. The footing is um, on a slab construction. They slab floor construction like we have here in Southern California. What they will do is they will mark off on the ground where the exterior wall is going to be, and then they're going to dig a trench down in the ground, and inside the ground they will pour a footing all the way around the exterior wall of the house. So this is underground and it's called the footing. And on top of the footing, and let me just say this, that there are dozens and dozens of different types of construction. This is just one of those different options, one of those different types of construction. So there's lots of different types. So on top of the footing, they are going to pour concrete and make a what is called a foundation. And both the footing and the foundation are going to have rebar in them. Those are called rebar or re-rod. They stand for reinforcement bars or reinforcement rods. It gives the concrete strength. And so the ground level is about right here. So just the top of the foundation sticks above ground. All of this is going to be below ground. And a lot of times they'll put this notch on the top of the foundation. Everything to the left is going to be outside the house. Basically, it's going to look kind of like this, where this is the foundation. Sorry, this is the footing. This is the foundation, and then everything to the left of this is going to be considered outside of the house. Everything to the right is going to be underneath the house. Okay, so the exterior wall is all built on top of this foundation and this footing. Okay, so we're looking at it in this direction. We're looking at the cross section of this foundation. So this is pointing towards the inside of the house or underneath the house. So what they do, this is all earth. This is all earth. On top of the dirt, they're going to pour a layer of sand. And that's going to be a moisture barrier. It's going to be a water barrier so that the groundwater does not soak into the concrete. This is going to be your concrete sub subflooring. Okay, so this is going to be the flooring that's underneath your tile, that's underneath your hardwood, it's underneath your carpeting. This is going to be that slab concrete floor. Now, before the concrete dries for the foundation, they're going to dip in some what are called anchor bolts. And that anchor bolt is going to, and they'll dip them in on top of the foundation all around the house. And that anchor bolt is going to hold the wall down to the top of the foundation. Um, on top of the foundation, before we start building this wall, they put down a protective barrier, a waterproof barrier called a sill seal. And that sill seal, like I said, it's like a thick plastic wrap, kind of goes on top of the foundation all the way around the house. And it's just it's a moisture barrier so that the water that is absorbed into the concrete does not get absorbed up into the bottom of your wall. Because when the wood from your wall gets wet, it's going to get moldy, it's going to get rotten, it's going to start to disintegrate, and we don't want the wall to disintegrate. So that sill seal will protect the wood from, from rotting. So now we're going to go above ground, right? Here's ground level. We're going to build the wall on top of this, and I'm just going to break down the wall to show you the different parts of the wall. So on top of the foundation is called the sill plate or the sole plate. Sill plate or the sole plate. It is a 2x4. Okay. Then you've got these 8-foot 2x4s. So this is called a stud. You've got a 2x4 by 8 foot tall that are 16 inches on center. That means, okay, so it's a 2x4 that is 8 feet tall, and every 16 inches on center, that's what OC stands for. Every 16 inches, you're going to have um, another stud. So let me show you this. So if this is the wall, here's your sole plate, here are all your studs, here's your double top plate. Every 16 inches, you're going to have a new stud. All right, that will be for the construction guys that are putting up plywood or drywall on top of the stud. That gives them something to go by so that they know when they cover up all the studs, they know exactly where the next stud is, because every 16 inches they'll find the center of a new stud. So 16 inches on center. It says that they're 2x4 by 8. Well, this 2x4 is a measurement, 2 inches by 4 inches. That is called a nominal measurement, because if you actually take the size, if you measure the size of a stud, the thickness is only 1.5, the width is only 3.5, but they are 8 feet tall. So there's a term called a nominal measurement and a term called an actual measurement. A nominal measurement equals by name only. Like a 2x4. 2x4 is the name of that board, but it's not really 2 inches by 4 inches. That's just its name. The actual measurement equals its actual size. So you need to know the difference between a nominal measurement and an actual measurement. Okay? Nominal is the name of it, 2x4. Actual size would be 1.5 by 3.5. So know the difference between a nominal measurement and an actual measurement. Okay, so on top of the 2x4 studs, we're going to nail on some sheets of plywood. All right, that covers up all the studs. And that is a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet. We have to waterproof this now, so we're going to put tar paper on top of the drywall. That tar paper is going to waterproof the plywood. We're going to put stucco siding on the sides, so we're going to hang some chicken wire or a wire mesh so that the stucco has something to hold on to. And hopefully you know what chicken wire is. It's like a chain link fence, but it's really small, thin wire that attaches to the wall. And then the stucco is like a cement stucco is going to use that chicken wire kind of like a skeletal system so that it has something to hold on to the wall. If you don't have that chicken wire, the stucco is just going to slide off the wall. But the chicken wire will help keep the stucco on the side of the wall. Okay, so that's the outside. So now we're going to put a roof on this thing, and we're going to do a gable roof. Um, and that gable roof is going to include some trusses, and a truss looks like this. And again, this is just one of several ways to put a roof on a house. Okay, so this big thing is called a truss, and there's going to be lots of trusses sitting on top of the wall. These trusses are 24 inches on center, and the parts of a truss, you've got the bottom cord on the bottom, you've got this top cord, and then the middle portions are called the webbing. They are all put together with what is called a gusset. A gusset is a piece of sheet metal that has spikes on the back side of it, and in order to keep all these boards together, they can't use nails real effectively, so they use a gusset, and they nail these gussets right to the intersections of where the webbing meets the cords, and that gusset helps keep all these boards together. Okay? But right now, we have all these trusses up on the top of the walls, but we need to cover them. So on top of the top cord, they put in or they put on sheets of plywood, just like they did on the outside of the studs. So we're going to put plywood. And then the plywood has to be waterproof, so they put on tar paper. And that makes it waterproof. And then on top of the tar paper, they lay the roofing. And it could be tile roof, it could be asphalt shingles, it could be shakers. There's all kinds of different types of roofing. And that roofing overlaps each other. So they always start at the bottom. And then they overlap all the way up to the top. And that's your roofing. Okay. On the front edge of all of the trusses, they put a board called the fascia board. Fascia board, if you were going to put a gutter on the side of the house, that gutter would be attached to the fascia board. Um, there is a little blocking board that goes in between the trusses right here. That blocking board keeps little critters from birds from flying up in your attic or squirrels from getting up in there. Board that goes in between the trusses and it blocks the opening. So now on the inside, in between all the studs, they're going to take some fiberglass insulation. It's this insulation that kind of looks like cotton candy. And they're going to cut 8-foot sections of that and they're going to put it in between all of the studs and they're going to put it in between all of the trusses up in the attic. And then to keep it in, they're going to use drywall and they're going to cover this little fiberglass insulation in between the trusses, in between the studs. That's going to keep your house the temperature that you want it, either cool in the summer or warm in the winters. And this is your drywall. Outside of that, sometimes it's called sheetrock, plasterboard. Okay, and that comes in 4x8 sheets, just like the plywood did, and it covers up all of the studs, all of the trusses, and they'll use plaster and they'll cover all the holes. They'll plaster between the sheets, wait for it to dry, then they'll sand it all down, make it all smooth, and then they can paint that drywall. And then we've got our subflooring here, so now we're going to put on the flooring. That could be carpeting, it could be tiles, it could be hardwood. That's typically the last thing that goes on so that it doesn't get messed up by everything else. And that is the construction, the cross section construction notes for your assignment.